Welcome back to Daytime Ottawa here on Rogers TV. We are going to be talking about mental health and debt and why they are linked. I think for many people out there, you're probably thinking, well, that seems obvious. Well, a national survey really breaks it down and shows us many of the factors that are included when it comes to those financial challenges and mental health. And I'm joined by the interim CEO of the Credit Counseling Canada, Stacey Yanchuk-Oleksy. Welcome to the show, Stacey. Great to have you here. And we're going to get, as soon as they see this segment, you'll be the full-time CEO. So I have no worries there. Have no worries, Stacey.
Thanks, Derek.
But this is, this is a really serious topic. Let's talk about some of those survey results that we saw.
Sure. What we did at Credit Counseling Canada, Derek, is we looked at the social determinants of mental health. So what we were actually looking at, to break it down, is job security, housing insecurity, household expenses, as well as consumer debt. And what we found is that Canadians are being impacted, mental health-wise, by their finances and their stress around it.
And are all those kind of equal factors, or did some stand out more than others?
You know what? They're not equal. It really depends on the province. But what we found in Ontario is 34% found that job insecurity really impacted their mental health. So we're talking about, whether you were temporarily laid off or permanently laid off, or, the open and close, with the lockdowns, that's really impacted people's mental well-being. And we can also see, 27% are impacted by housing insecurity. With the booming market, we can see that, people are having to move. Sometimes if they're renters, they're having to move again and again because someone sold their home. So that creates a lot of stress.
Yeah, when, talking about housing in general, I think, I was just talking about that earlier in the show with the Greater Ottawa Home Builders Association, is I think, there's that young generation that looks at it, and it almost seems insurmountable, and we're talking about them a lot. But this survey is homeowners now, and I think there's a lot of homeowners now that are just so close to, if something happens in their life, what's that going to mean to them? Paying, their bills, paying their mortgage, paying their utilities. That link to mental health, I think, is quite obvious. But maybe you could talk about some of those other factors in more detail.
Yeah, and I think, what you're talking about, Derek, is what we found in our survey. We found that 46% of Ontarians were actually being impacted by their mental health for household expenses, right? So what we're looking at is we're experiencing this on a day-to-day basis. When you go to fill up your car with gas, whew, you need some Tums because that causes a whole lot of heartburn.
No
And
kidding.
also, when you go to get groceries, it's not like the broccoli or the cauliflower is covered in chocolate, and worth $3 to $5 a head. It's just that $3 to $5 a head.
Right.
So things are getting expensive for Canadians, and that means less disposable income, and that creates more stress for people, including their mental health.
Well, most importantly, Stacey, is there is help available out there. How do you help at Credit Counseling Canada?
Absolutely. That's the first thing that we need people to understand, Derek, is that they are not. Oftentimes we attach net worth and self-worth, so that if I've got debt, I feel like I'm the only person in the room that just doesn't know what's going on. But that's not true. There's help available. We local nonprofit credit counselor, because the appointment is free. It's an hour, and what they'll walk away with is compassion, a budget, and a plan. So that's pretty good for an hour's appointment.
Yeah, and that process, as you said, there's no charge to begin with, so people should feel comfortable. What information should they come with?
You know what? They need to come with themselves. So they can come with any information that they've got available. So that could include, their monthly expenses, their income, even their debts. But if they don't have that information, call us anyway. You know what? The credit counselor will walk them through all that information. They don't have to do this alone, because it can be pretty scary.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely intimidating, and I says off the top, I think it's obvious for most people, where that link is when it comes to mental health and debt, but it's really breaking it down and finding out that there is help available, and you can get yourself out of it. Stacey, really appreciate you spending time with us today. Thanks so much for joining me.
Truly my pleasure, Derek. Thanks for having me.
All right. That does it for today's show, but on Wednesday, we've got another great show. We're going to be talking about the Day of the Dead Festival and another exhibitor from the Ottawa Fall Home Show. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.